Hi, I'm Grace, and I read The Silent Patient by Michaelides, so you don't have to, but you should if you want to. This book mostly takes place in a mental hospital in the UK. It's told from the point of view of the main male character, Theo, who is a psychiatrist. He has this fixation on one of his new patients named Alicia, who unexpectedly unalived her husband a few years prior. So right off the bat, when Theo got hired at this mental hospital, he immediately asked to be assigned to Alicia. She seems like she's really out of it because she's on so many psychiatric medications and he's concerned about that. So he immediately gets to work. Some of the other people at the hospital start to notice that he has a special interest in her, but they have really low funding, so no one can do much about it. And all the psychiatrists kind of know each other, so it gets slipped under the rug a little bit. At one of their first sessions, Alicia actually physically attacks him. They kind of decide that she's just mentally disturbed and there was no justifiable reasoning behind the attack. After the attack, Theo still continues to see her in therapy sessions, but he feels like they don't get anywhere. Alicia is very closed off. She doesn't say anything to him, so often they just kind of sit there in sessions and don't say anything to each other. He's still so fixated on her and the reasoning behind the crime she committed against her husband that he ends up going to talk to multiple family members and multiple family friends to try to figure out what was going on with her. And he hits mostly dead ends. From all outside point of views, she and her husband had a loving relationship, and although she did have some psychological problems in the past, nothing would have been so extreme that would have led her to commit this crime. After several months of not getting anywhere in therapy with Alicia, he finally tells her that they're not going to have any more sessions together. And in response, she gives him her diary as a sort of parting gift. After Theo reads the diary and feels like he has more of an understanding of Alicia and her motivations, they do resume some therapy sessions, and she finally opens up and tells him the real story of what happened the night that her husband was unalive. The story she tells is that several years ago, she found out her husband was cheating on her because a stranger broke into their house and tied them both up and threatened them with a weapon, informed her that the husband was cheating, and then left them there. And when the intruder left, she turned the weapon on her husband and used it on him. This doesn't make very much sense to Theo because although that was devastating news for her to hear, there was nothing in her background that it would have shown that she would have such a violent reaction to that kind of news. One evening, he follows his wife into a public park, is able to identify the person she's cheating with. It's at this time that the big plot twist is revealed. The lover of his wife, Alicia's husband, and these two stories are happening on two separate timelines. So several years ago, Theo found out his wife was cheating on him. He followed her and did some digging to find out who her lover was. Her lover ended up being Alicia's husband. He tracked Alicia down, broke into her home, set up this altercation between her and her husband, and left. Allegedly, he did not expect her to be so violent against her husband, and the reason that he's been trying to get close to her through all of this therapy has been that he wants to figure out the true motivation behind her violent reaction to the news. Sus as fuck, to be honest. And the reason that Alicia attacked him when she had one of their first sessions was because she recognized him from breaking into her house and was so traumatized. His fixation with her continues. Through some more digging and investigation, he learns that when she was younger, she had a parent who spoke in a very derogatory way towards her, making her feel like she was very unlovable. That's what made her snap and do the thing to her husband. Very quickly after learning the motivation behind Alicia's behavior, she is found in her room, seemingly overdosed from medication and now in a coma. Turns out Theo was the most violent person in the book the whole time, and he orchestrated an overdose that would leave Alicia in a coma. That way he can watch over her like a little doll in the hospital for the rest of her life. And it works for a little bit until the hospital is being renovated and the police discover that Alicia has hidden some of her diary pages in a painting that was in her room. The final pages point to Theo as the perpetrator in most of these crimes, and he is carted off to jail in front of his wife, whom he stayed married to this entire time. True love conquers all for them, I guess. Despite some of the very disturbing plot twists in